and welcome to day 8 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a free Cricut paper craft project every day for 20 days. Now, after the Halloween Craft Countdown, the number one project by far that you all voted for as your favourite was the Halloween gnome. So of course, I had to do a Christmas one too. This is a Father Christmas gnome, and isn't he just the cutest? This cut file is available to download for free for the next 24 hours. So let's find out how to get it and how to make Mr. Santa Gnome. If you haven't already registered your free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/CCC to do so. Once registered, check for an email from me with subject line Christmas Craft Countdown ticket information, or any of the other emails from me that you've been sent throughout this countdown. Can't find them? Check your junk or spam box to see if they've gone there by mistake. These emails contain the link to view the countdown projects and download today's files. Scroll down the page to find today's project. Click the button to start the files automatically downloading to your computer or mobile device. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you have missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/CCC bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown. All downloads come in zip folders. You need to unzip them before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Go into Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find a file on your computer or drag and drop it in. The file to choose inside the unzipped version of your download folder is the one which starts SVG in the file name. I'll click and drag that in, and then it should look like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file type. So if that's the case, click Cancel down here on the bottom, try again, and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. But if yours is looking like mine is, go ahead and press Upload. Once it appears in your recent uploads, click on it to get the green border and then press Add to Canvas. This loads in pretty big by default, so you might want to make it a little bit smaller. Or, of course, if you're cutting it from big sheets of card, you could even make it bigger. It's a little bit hard to see on this screen, but the beard and the snowflake are actually made up of different colours. If you go to Colour Sync and scroll down, this separates everything out into the colours. And here you've got the darker colours and then you've got the white underneath. If you want to make it a little bit more obvious, go back to layers and find these darker layers. So the snowflake is one, and just change it to a slightly darker grey to make it easier to see when you're cutting which one to choose. I wouldn't actually use a grey this dark though. I want to use just a slight off-white to help show up the details without it appearing too dark. So that's one of them. And if you click the little eye, then that will hide it and show it again, so you know you've got the right one. The second one is that one, and then also his beard, which is here. There we go. So those three ones would be cut from a slightly darker shade, kind of like an off-white or an ivory, perhaps even a cream or an incredibly pale grey. To resize the design, click on it and then make sure your padlock icon up here is closed. If it's open, then click on it to close it. It might take 2 clicks as it's a little bit buggy at the moment. I'm going to change the height of my gnome. So let's try maybe 8 inches tall. Press enter on my keyboard. And that looks like a pretty good size. Maybe I could go a little bit bigger. Let's try 9 inches tall. So you see when I did that, the width changed in proportion, and that's because of that padlock icon being closed. When you're happy with how everything is looking, press Make It over on the top right, and that will separate everything out into the different colours of cardstock. You can change the paper size in here, and you can click and drag to move things about to help take up less space on your cardstock. You can even rotate, and you can even move things about. Now I'm wondering if I could get that shape to fit on my one sheet of cards so that I only need one instead of two. To give it a try, click the three little dots and then move object. Choose the other sheet, make sure you get the correct colour, the same colour, and then press confirm. And oops, now I can give this a play. See if I can get everything on the same sheet, because I'd much rather just use one piece instead of two. I'm not sure it's going to be possible though. I might have to concede defeat. Oh, this could work. Oh no, that doesn't quite fit. I thought I'd managed to defeat it then. Oh, I don't think I'm quite going to manage it. That's such a shame. All right, let's move him back. Actually, if I move all of these around and just move that one onto his own sheet, because I don't think I'm going to get him to fit. Oh, so close. You can't have anything overlapping. Oh, have I done it? I did it! Amazing. Okay, so you can see none of my shapes when I click off are touching each other, which means that this will all cut beautifully from one sheet of A4. I can't believe I actually managed to fit that on. We've now got an empty sheet here, which is fine because when you click through to the next step, it will remove any empty ones. You do need to change the paper size for every colour, so go ahead and do that and then move things about if you want to. When you're happy with how it's all looking, go ahead and press continue down on the bottom right and that will connect to your Cricut machine. Get all the layers cut out and then we'll see how to stick it all together. Here's my little Santa gnome all cut out and I've put the layers one on top of the other to check I'm happy with how he's looking and that I haven't missed anything. I think all these colours look really nice together, so I'm ready to stick him together. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way upwards, so we need to move some of these layers apart. I'm going to try and keep them in some sort of order in little groups just to make it easier to know which ones to put together in which order. So I'll keep his hat together and then his beard and moustache. Trying to pick that up. It's not working. Okay, so now I'm just left with the very bottom two layers, which is making up his sack of presents on his back. And this layer is going to create that outline to the sack to give it some detail, which will be a glue layer. The glue I'm using is called Collall. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some glues can do, and I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles. We'll be using foam squares for some of the layers, and they come on sheets which look like this. These ones are a bit big, so I'll probably cut them smaller with scissors. But as I said, this one is a glue layer, so I'm just going to grab my glue and go all the way around these edges. And if you can, try and get into the narrow outlines because it'll stick better if you've got some glue around those edges. And then this bit just gets stuck right on top. And if you need to, just give it a little wiggle whilst the glue's wet to make sure it's all lined up exactly. He's looking good, so on to the next layer. Next, I'm going to add his shoes, which come in two pieces, starting with the grey. And for the grey ones, I'll add some foam on the back to give it a bit of dimension. Just a couple of pieces needed. And I've snipped my squares of foam in half with a pair of scissors. It makes it easier to put them in the spaces, but also means you don't need to use as many. Then that lines up along the bottom for his little grey socks. And the shoes go on top, which will be glued. And they just line up at the bottom like that. Next, we've got this layer, which is going to sit on top, and it just goes over those shoes. So we're going to use foam for this one, but just make sure you don't put any foam along this very bottom bit, because that needs to overlap those shoes and socks, which we've already added the dimension to. When you're adding the foam to these big pieces, you need to make sure you put some in the middle of the design, and this gives it stability so that the cardstock doesn't sag or dome downwards in the middle under the weight of itself. We're making a nice kind of table of foam for this to lie on, so it stays nice and straight. And now I've done that, I'm just peeling the tops off the backs of the foam to release all of the stickiness. Now they're all nice and sticky, I'm going to add it to this. You know what? I've just completely forgotten not to put any bits down the bottom, even though I specifically said that. You're probably watching me like, Sarah, what are you doing? Okay, I've taken them off now, so it'll fit. Oh dear, I've got a memory like a sieve. Okay, so I've gently lined that up. I haven't pushed it down yet because I want to check I'm happy, which I am, so now I'll push down. And the reason for gently lying it on top first is that if you hadn't quite lined it up right, you could have picked it up and moved it without damaging anything. Next, I'm going to add on these little bits for the edge of the Santa sack, which he's holding, and these are both glue layers. There's one there in that solid colour, and then the detail on top will go like that to show the top of the sack all rolled up. There. And then next we have this piece to sit on top, which is creating the outline of the arms, and this will be a glue layer. Go straight on top, nice and easy. There we are. Next are the bits of white that make up his fluff on the edge of his sleeves, and these ones again will be glue layers. Okay, the next one is this one, which is making up his body, and this will be a foam layer to give it some depth from the arms. Again, we're going to line this up and gently drop it down. There we go. That's looking good. And the next layer is the bottom part. No, it's not. Next, we need to put his belt on. So whereabouts does that go? Down there. This one I'm just going to glue on. Almost forgot that then. Would have been a very sad Santa without a belt to keep his trousers up. So just wiggle it about until the edges line up. Probably done that a little bit too far down, but never mind. That looks about right. Okay. So for his first beard layer, this one will be a foam square layer. This one you can line up using the hat at the top and the little spikes of the beard at the bottom. Then we're going to move on to the detail on his beard, which is a glue layer. Once again, these needle tip bottles really, really help on these beard layers. Beard done. Onto the moustache. We've got another solid layer to make up the bottom of the moustache, but before we stick this on, we need to add his mouth. To do that, turn the layer over so it's upside down and add a tiny bit of glue above the top of the triangle point up in the middle of his moustache, and then take your mouthpiece and just stick it on and turn it round and just move it about until you've got a little bit showing there, just to kind of be the little bit of his mouth or his chin maybe between there. And now we can add the foam. We've lost the bottom bits to line up now, but you've still got the outline of the moustache on there so you can see where to go, and also that bauble at the top of the hat. His detail moustache will be a glue layer. The depth on this, there's so much of it, he's really popping out. It's looking great. And now we're on to the final few stages with his hat. And let's have a little think. Do I want foam for his hat, or is he deep enough already? I'm going to glue the hat layers. If you want to, you could foam this one instead, but I think he's got so much depth to him already that he doesn't need this one to be foamed, but it's up to you. He's still going to have a little bit of depth and some more layers. The bauble on the hat and his nose. That's that one. And then number 2 is the detail. Glue again. That one on. And then for his little rim on the hat as well, this will be another glue one. Maybe a foam one. Let's have a think. Well, his nose is going to come out. You know what? I'm going to do it with foam. When you make this, you'll have a nice printable assembly guide to follow, so you don't need to be quite as slapdash as me at trying to work out what to do. I always make the assembly guides after I've filmed the videos. Here, there's that one, and then his nose. I'm going to glue his nose because it's already quite far out from the top of his moustache. I don't want it to look like his nose is too big. Okay, and then the holly. Again, I'm going to glue it. It's so thick already. I don't think it needs the extra dimension. One, and the berries, I'm going to cheat and put the glue straight on there. And there we are. One little bit left, the fluff on the end of the hat. I'm going to use some foam for the solid bit because we used foam for the top of the hat, so it makes sense that this should match. And on there. And then the snowflake on top will be glued. There. Perfect. Our little Santa Claus gnome is now all finished. There's so much depth in him, and he looks really, really cute and all ready to bring you some fancy gifts this Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a Santa gnome paper craft project. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 9 of the Christmas Craft Countdown. And if you liked this gnome, I have a feeling you're going to like tomorrow's project too. Thank you for watching. Bye!